Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Living Astrology with Janet Hickox. It is time to grab your cup of coffee or your tea, sit back and relax so we can chat about what is going on in the sky above us for the weekend. Hallelujah. It is Friday. That means we are looking down the barrel of a 3-day weekend. Woohoo! As it's Labor Day here in the USA, also in Canada. And I'm hoping that others around the world celebrate this weekend, kind of the last weekend or the last hurrah of summer, even though summer season isn't over yet, and a time for all of us to kind of let loose, have a good time, get out of the everyday routine. So it's a good weekend as well because the moon is in Leo today, tomorrow, and for most of Sunday. Of course, it transitions into Virgo Sunday evening and prepares for the new moon on Monday. Monday is the moon in Virgo. So it'll be a work week that begins. Actually, it'll be a holiday on Monday, but Tuesday after that new moon, we have a work week that begins. Kids go back to school, at least here where I live, and except the school districts that are still honoring a picket line in certain school districts around. So it looks to be a good weekend. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't come with some challenges. Um, and as I give you this information this morning, you've got to remember that each of your charts are personalized, right? What I may say to you, Tom, Debbie, JLo, or Teddy might be different in a personal setting than what I'm saying in terms of the collective, because right now I don't have your charts in front of me. I could guess maybe how it might affect you, but I don't know for sure unless I'm actually looking at doing a session for you. So, what that means is you take everything that I'm talking about, you generalize it, and then you match it to what you know about what is going on in your own lives. Now, today we're going to primarily be working in the astrology, although we will wax a little human design as we wear on here today. And that means if you have your astrology chart in front of you, that would be a good thing because then you could follow along with what it is we're talking about. And I've got two new decks. Where did the other one go? Okay. Well, that is so you right in front of me. I got 2 new decks of cards. I think I told you I joined the card of the quarter club with Hay House, and I got the new ones. So we'll be looking at Intuitive Whispers Oracle by Maud Hurst, whom I do not know, but I love the cards, and Kyle Gray's new one, Angelic Activations Oracle. So I will leave time for us to do that as well. So let's dive in, shall we? So, good morning to all of you who are popping in here. I thought I was going to be alone this morning because nobody was there when I first started the broadcast. But I see Teddy out there now. J Lo, Debbie Tibbetts Tumiel. She says, "Good morning. Not the last hurrah here. Still no AC. Ugh, you'll get AC in the winter when you don't need it." Tom W. Ha ha. Hi Pluto. Ha ha. Astro family. Anyway, have a wonderful weekend. Tom W says, "Surprise." Debbie, thank you for the reminder. Hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, share the video. And if you have not yet subscribed to my YouTube channel and you're listening to me on YouTube by accident, maybe even this morning, please hit the subscribe button. You can even touch the bell that's next to it, and that will notify you when I come on. And good morning, Terry Lee Strauss. Teddy says he's voting for the angelic. Well, I'm going to pull a card from each one of those decks so we can get kind of, you know, organized around those decks. What do they mean? What kind of messages do they bring us? So let's dive in. The first thing we're going to talk about this morning is the moon that is moving into Leo. It's already in Leo. Excuse me, I didn't mean moving into Leo. And having the moon in Leo on the weekend to me is always fantastic because the moon in Leo is really about creativity, a desire for self expression. It's a time for having fun, for being playful, for vacation energy, right? Having a holiday weekend with the moon in Leo is even better because when the transit When the transiting moon is moving through a sign, it brings the qualities of those signs to our emotional body, right? So, our emotional feel good, our emotional self expression, in this case, the encouraging us to embrace our inner fire, our inner Leo, our inner lion, our inner courage, and to shine brightly, right? That is the whole idea. But in the astrological context of the moon in Leo, the moon spends only 2 to 3 days in each sign. So it's a fast sort of movement. It's not like Jupiter that moves into Gemini and spends a year, right? It doesn't do that. It's much quicker than that. And so the influence of the moon is strong for a couple of days and then it moves off to the next sign and its influence is strong and then it moves off to the next sign. And this is how we find ourselves in this ever changing atmosphere throughout an entire lunar month, right? And each time the energies are, similar. They're never going to be one to one exactly the same, but they're very similar energies. And the key themes of the moon and Leo are really about emotional expression and confidence, right? Leo is the sign of confidence. It is a it is meant to be a very courageous and confident energy. So we're being encouraged to emotionally be open and to be emotionally courageous, right? To have that confidence. That means we might be more inclined to share our feelings with people and find more creative ways or outlets for our energies, and to especially communicate with others in a heartfelt way. Right. So, not being afraid to show how much you love someone or what your true heart feelings are about those that you love or those people around you. It is also symbolic of creativity and playfulness. Leo's a sign associated with creativity and art and play. It's the fun stuff, right, that it rules in terms of the house relationship that it holds in our charts. So whether it's through art or whether it's through performance or simply finding joy in playful experiences, this is a great time to let your inner child out, right? Let it come out to play and indulge in activities that make you feel alive and make you feel joyful. I mean, what's not to like about that, right? There is a particular desire for recognition sometimes when the moon is in Leo that gets triggered in all of us. We're really looking to be seen, heard, appreciated, right? So make sure that you include some of that in your conversations with people over the next couple of days. Be appreciative. Tell people how much you appreciate them, right? You may feel your own self that you need to feel more acknowledged, right? That your efforts, your talents, your generosity, those types of things, that you want to feel like those are acknowledged, right? And of course, this could manifest in wanting more social attention, or attention in social situations, which can lead to, some weird things in parties, right? I'm thinking of the person with the lampshade on their head dancing, because they've imbibed a little too much. They're having a little too much fun, um, and or are striving to stand out in some particular way, right? This is the moon in Leo. It is also a sign of boldness in leadership. It is a leadership energy, so it brings out our leadership qualities, perhaps. We might feel more inclined to take charge of a situation, maybe leading others or making bold decisions, right? Something big in your life. So it's an excellent time to step into leadership roles, but this is happening over a weekend. So I'm not quite sure how that plays out for you, but it might be in your personal life. It could be in your work in some way. But whatever it is that you do, do with enthusiasm and with confidence. And focus on relationships and socializing, right? That's a big deal with the Leo moon. It's a warm hearted sign and it's sociable energy. So, this is where we get together, we feel strong connections with our loved ones, and we do what we can to enjoy their company And we also need to balance some things within us in terms of our emotional sensitivity, our pride, right? The Leo moon encourages pride, self sufficiency, self assurance, confidence, right? So it's essential to balance that with the sensitivity to other people's needs. Be mindful of not letting your ego get run away with you. Don't call so much attention to yourself that you overshadow the feelings of the people around you, right? That can be one of the downsides of this moon in Leo. So, engage in creative pursuits or activities, plan social events or plan to attend social events. My social event for the weekend is moving my daughter from one part of Cedro Woolley to another part of Cedro Woolley. That is going to be so much fun. And I mean that, right? I mean, other than the fact it's work and work in temperatures that are higher than I'm used to, it'll still be fun because it's family, right? Do things that boost your confidence, right? Tell yourself how much you love yourself in the mirror. Show appreciation to yourself, but also to others, the loved ones in your family. They deserve to know how much you appreciate them, how their generosity of spirit really impacts you. So, good day, good weekend. And again, that is today, tomorrow, Saturday, all day Sunday. The moon shifts out of Leo at 8:49 PM West Coast time. So it'll actually be Monday early morning for some of you when it shifts out of Leo. And it is void, of course, from 5:26 PM Sunday night until 8:49 PM. Again, West Coast time. So if we look at that at the East Coast, it's 8:26 PM to 11:49 PM, right? But if you are in Europe and beyond, that will actually happen on Monday morning, not Sunday night. And then the moon is in Virgo, right? It'll be preparing for its new phase. And that new moon is occurring in the sign of Virgo at 9:56 PM on the East Coast, and that would be 6:56 PM for those of us on the West Coast. But before that new moon occurs, we have two other biggies to talk about. And one is one I didn't even get to talk about on Wednesday when Tam and I were together, and that is the planet Uranus turning retrograde. And that planet is the planet of awakening, surprises, shocks, liberation, freedom, electricity, and some of the more liberating energies that come into our lives, shake us up somewhat, and then help us realign with a new energy. And Uranus, of course, has been in Taurus since 2017, 2018. And we've been in a sign, or Uranus has been in a sign that he's not very comfortable in, right? Taurus is pretty steady Eddie, and Uranus is not, right? So it seems like there's always this battle between the comfort zone, steady, loyal, I'm stuck in the mud kind of feeling versus this electrified planet that is trying to shake us up, awaken us, and help us to change, to transform, but to move in a new direction. So we've had this, kind of energy going on for 5, 6 years now, almost 7. And that is about, our learning to move ahead, but more deliberately. That change in our lives doesn't have to always be just lightning bolt fast, although it happens. But in Taurus, it can be our our recognition and our agreement to put our best foots forward in the change game, right? So that's been this longer term sort of energy. Now, transiting Uranus in Taurus is in its final full retrograde in Taurus, right? This will happen again from September 1 until January 30th of 2025. Then he'll move forward again in Taurus, but he moves on into Gemini in July of 2025, and his next retrograde, so the next time we experience the retrograde, it will start in Gemini. It will move back to Taurus, but then back into Gemini. So it'll be a clean batting cleanup kind of energy when we get to next year, but this will be the final full on retrograde for Uranus in Taurus. So that begs the question then for all of you, what has Uranus been bringing to you over the last 5 or 6 years so far about change in your life? Where is Taurus in your chart? And for those of you who don't know, this is what Taurus looks like symbolically, right? That's the sign of Taurus right there. So find that. It will be on the outer ring of your chart, right? So that is where Taurus is. And then the little wedge piece that it's in is called the house. And that house has an energy around it, right? It rules certain things. Like if this chart were a person, Taurus is sitting on the ninth house and it's the house of growth and expansion, spiritually, educationally, but also taking a larger view of the world, kind of rising up to the level of the eagle to see a larger perspective. So Uranus and Taurus, if this were a person, would have been putting pressure on this person to embrace a larger view of life in general, but or and doing that maybe through education, through spiritual pursuits, for changes in their beliefs, that type of thing. So take a look at where this energy is in your own chart, because that's what that's where you need to embrace this energy of change, right? So the planet itself, now that it's in retrograde, any planet in retrograde does what? Turns it inward, right? Retrograde is almost always more introspective, more investigative, more reflective, and the same is true for Uranus. So let's take a look at the key themes of Uranus retrograde in Taurus, and then maybe I can help answer some questions for those of you that are telling me what house it's in. For example, Amanda J says it's in her first house, and we'll talk a little bit about that. So if you find where Taurus is in the chart, put that into the chat and let me know. So after I talk about this, we can relate it to you personally. So, the key themes of Uranus retrograde in Taurus are really about a reevaluation. That's another retrograde word, reevaluation of finances and resources. So, we may feel compelled to revisit our financial situations, our strategies, and to reconsider how we manage our resources, including time and energy. But money is a big resource. But also, like, for example, how do you manage other resources that you have, right? That is true too. And this could involve rethinking your investments, maybe your savings or your spending habits, maybe looking at your debt to credit ratios, right? Your spending, all of these kinds of things. And unexpected financial shifts can lead to new insights about maybe the potential for innovative approaches to money management for you, right? And I don't mean that necessarily in a bad way. I feel like, it is not always something bad. It's designed to awaken you in some respects, right? To have you take a look deeper. Now, because Taurus is a sign that also rules our value and our values, there is shifting perhaps in your personal values. So, Taurus rules self worth as well. So, Uranus retrograde might bring an internal revolution in what you consider important in your life for you personally. This could be a time to question your long held beliefs about who you are, about what is okay for you, what is not okay for you, what is your true value, what is your true worth. And then that can lead you to a potential shift in your priorities, or a new understanding of what truly is important to you, what truly matters to you. All right. There can also be unexpected changes in the stability of your life. Uranus in Taurus challenges the status quo, right? Comfort zone. Think comfort zone when I say status quo. And its retrograde phase can bring about a period of instability, or maybe, shakeups, especially in the areas where you thought you were secure, right? You thought you had a secure footing financially, or you thought you had a secure footing, in your values. And then something comes along, shakes that up. And now it becomes a catalyst for growth for you, and maybe pushing you to adapt and find new forms of stability. Like, what does stability mean anyway? right? In a world that's constantly changing, maybe stability is a moving target, right? It's not just steady, right? It might be a little bit up and down, but what we want to avoid is the big swings up and the big swings down. We kind of want to keep it sort of like this. And funny thing, I was listening to a video yesterday, and the person asked us to stand up and to stand on one foot. So I encourage you all, stand up if you can, stand on one foot. And of course, if you're a wobbly person, stand close to something that you can reach out and touch. But notice that the act of balancing on one foot is not solid, right? We're not even solid when we stand on 2 feet. But standing on one foot really shows you your body's ability to sense how to bring things into balance. And sometimes we're more successful at some people are better at balancing on one foot. But the very act of balancing on one foot shows you what I'm talking about here. That stability is a moving target, right? That it's always in a process of being reassessed, reevaluated, reframed, and we adjust accordingly, right? So we can't keep applying the same old to balance when our balance has been shook up because it won't work, right? It's about change. It's about doing what you need to do to rebalance. And then there's also the whole thing about breaking out of stagnation, right? The retrograde Uranus can heighten our sense of inner restlessness, urging us to break free from the routines or situations that have us caught up in uh, uh, a stability that feels rigid or feels stifling to us. So we might find ourselves revisiting another retrograde, great word, areas where we have felt stuck before, and considering the bold changes that we might want to make to liberate ourselves from those constraints. And this is where Uranus gets the whole revolutionary rebel kind of energy, because he really does tempt us to really shake things up and do things in a completely different way, right? Imagine what if, and I'm gonna give you a great example. Who knows what really called my attention to this article? Maybe it was because, uh, I don't know, it said, and I wanna say this was going on in Denmark or Sweden, one of the maybe Norway, I don't know, one of the countries in the Scandinavian region of the world, where they did this experiment to see what would happen if prisons became more comfortable. Right? Because our immediate response, and I can hear you, Debbie. I can hear a lot of you out there saying, if you've broken the law, you need to be behind bars. And it's punishment. Well, they took a different approach. They said, well, what if it wasn't punishment, but instead it was rehabilitation? And in rehabilitation, they put people up in, I mean, they had locked, areas. They were in rooms, but they had a bed. They actually had a window with a view, and they had, it was more like I don't know, maybe a school, right? That was where they were locked in, but that they were being rehabilitated rather than punished. So, interesting, right? This is what Uranus in retrograde might do to you, right? Taking a look at, punishment in your life and how can I rehabilitate that? Or taking a look at suffering in your life and how might I rehabilitate that? Okay. So I'm not advocating or saying that was a good thing. But what they did show, interestingly enough, is the prisoners were happy. So there were less issues going on in the prison. Their recidivism was way reduced, like 25% less recidivism, meaning that they didn't go out and reoffend. So fascinating, right? It totally turned it upside down on its ear. So here's the power of Uranus in Taurus, breaking out of the old, turning it upside down, and attempting something new, right? This is also technological advances. Uranus rules technology, and the environment is ruled by Taurus. So we might have technological and environmental innovations, and we may see the connections between Earth and agriculture, so that Uranus can re inspire us to evaluate how we use the land and how we use technology to help us in our farming, in our agriculture, that type of thing. So maybe we could find ourselves approaching sustainability in farming or in our interactions with the natural world, right? That would be the highest expression. Now, also, there is the internalized need for change. I feel like all of you might know what I'm talking about here, where you feel this internal spark, if you will, or pressure for some of you, maybe, that says, I need to change. So, unlike the direct Uranus, where we can often manifest externally, the retrograde period is more about the internal shifts. What do I got to change inside of me? Maybe we come to a deep understanding of where change is needed in our lives, or mentally and emotionally preparing for those changes, right? Maybe we realize, oh man, I've been a stick in the mud and now I need to, let that stick go, right? And let this mud flow freely. So transformation is really beginning, and it's an inside job when Uranus turns retrograde. So practical things to consider: financial planning, reassessing your values, and embracing flexibility, kind of looking at, where have I been stuck? Where have I been stubbornly, staunchly rigid in my life? And it would be in the house where Taurus is, right? What have I been avoiding, embracing? Another great question, right? And as well, technological innovations, especially if you're involved with industries that use technology, or agriculture or sustainability is a big key. So brainstorm and implement new things in your life, right? So Uranus retrograde is a powerful time for introspection and reassessment of the patterns where you are stuck, um, especially in your finances, your values, or your stability, and how can you free yourself from those areas, okay? And again, I asked you to tell me where Taurus was in your chart. Amanda said Taurus is her first house, so the first house might be a personal there's a the first house is where the ascendant is, Amanda, and we often think of the ascendant as the part of you that goes out ahead of you, right? It's how other people see you. So likely other people see you as steady, as dependable, as loyal, right? But inside, what is changing is likely, what are you being loyal to, or who? And where is it that you personally have been maybe too rigid or too stuck in your ways? Have been, afraid perhaps to let go a little bit, right? To become a little more free personally, right? So it's a very personal Uranus retrograde for you. And from now until, what was it, January 30th, it'll be time for you to really take a look at you personally. Like, how am I being in the world? And who am I in the world? And how can I be maybe a little less constrained? How do I let, some liberation come out? But also, not going to the extreme of that, right? Because, there are certain ways that you can do that, releasing steam, as it were, in your life without like blowing up your life personally. Okay, let's see. Tara Mesner has Taurus in her eighth house, which is a house, Tara, of change in and of itself. It's the house of transformation, i.e., death and rebirth. And it is also about our ability to bond in relationship. And that usually is shown through sex, right? It's sex, death, and rebirth all put together. And also, merging in relationships is also about merging financially. And that might mean a spouse's income, or how you get money that comes from investments or debt and credit issues, or winning the lottery, legacies, inheritances, all of those kinds of things. So Uranus in your life has been likely, changing up the atmosphere of your eighth house, either prompting you to go through major life changes through the death rebirth process. maybe not a literal death, but something that's changing in a big way in your life. And that might mean impacts to your finances, either yours or your spouse's, but in your case, it would be the money that comes from your investments in time and money and effort, right? So maybe projects that you put a lot of time or effort into, maybe even money, and the transformation, hopefully, that's happening in your life around that. And it could be, it's a tricky place, the eighth house. It's very tricky because of the whole idea of rebirth and regeneration, which is slow to happen with Taurus, right? It's very slow to change. But now you're coming to this very last full on retrograde time where hopefully you can take a look inwardly and see where it is you really need to make that change. Terry Strauss, third house, sorry, not second house. And I love it, Debbie. That's awesome. Terry Strauss, third house. So third house would be about your communication style and really honestly about your mind. If when you have Taurus on the third house, you might have a very specific way of behaving and communicating and or thinking, right? Your thinking might be something that got caught in a loop. And this would be an invitation to get out of that communication or thinking loop, saying things in a new way, perhaps. I hate to say this for you because I know how badly you hate it, but embracing technology in some way as a way to help you move through communication or to streamline the things that you do, right? The third house is a place of also your neighborhood and your friendships that are with your neighbors and your siblings, right? Siblings to come in here. So it could be impacting all of that kind of area of your life. Um, Tara, I am renovating my condo, moving on from a breakup, an 8-year relationship. Interesting, eights prominent here, right? And we'll be exploring dating and what I need from relationships moving forward during this retrograde, no doubt. I love it. Just turned 40, so it's a true rebirth. I'm embracing this transformation. Tara, it might be time for you to have a human design reading because in human design, we can really see what that transformation of your midlife time is about because it's a time where you shift from the south node's focus of your earlier life to the north node's focus in your maturing life, right? Maturing. Um, in let's see, sorry, you're late today. Okay, so Taurus ascendant and south node first house. So again, same thing for you, Christine, as we were talking about earlier with Amanda. This is a personal change, right? Something that, you are undergoing on a personal level with your south node there. That also tells us that there are patterns from the past that you're working through. And Uranus hopefully giving you this glimpse into what that stuck pattern might be and what you need to do to move on. J-Lo, 11th house. You and I have it in the same place. How fun. 11th house is all about your friendships and your groups, the people that you associate with, but better than that. And what I'm excited about really at this point in time of my life is about what are your bigger goals, your bigger dreams, your aspirations, right? What is that? What is the visionary um, goal that you have for yourself? And how can you adopt something new, a new behavior, a new way of thinking, a new way of interacting with others that brings you to that goal, that dream? So, fun stuff. It's also the house of wishes and dreams, right? So, make some big wishes, especially with the new moon coming. Debbie, oh no, Asa, good morning, Asa. And Tara, thanks. You're very welcome. I appreciate you asking the questions, right? Ugh, OMG, stop it. I did not do the seventh house yet, Asa. So if you have Uranus moving through the seventh house, this is impacting your relationships and your agreements. So the seventh house is a house of partnership. So literally marriage or business partnerships. And when you have Uranus in retrograde in that area, right? And over the course of time, this has changed up your marriage, right? Without divulging what's going on, right? This changed that part of your life. But now, having come through that, what are the new agreements that you want to make with people? What are the new partnerships that you want to move through? And in a very real way, Asa, in the seventh house, what you really have to adopt is a change to your value system, right? So that you attract partners that are equal value to you, right? They hold your same value. They are also as worthy or worthier. They help you aspire to something. So there's a big change going here. And maybe what you're seeing in this case is a bigger need to really master yourself, right? Because the opposite sign would be Scorpio in the first house, I'm guessing. And then that would be about self mastery. So the bigger rewriting contract for you might be about who you think you are and how you think you should be in relationships. And let's see. Oh, geez. Um, Christine totally resonates. J-Lo, thank you. You're welcome. Tom, ninth house. So the ninth house, Tom, is exactly sort of like the chart we talked about in the very beginning, which is really the chart of the day, where the ninth house, which is the house of growth and expansion, a changing of your beliefs and your philosophies, a seeing things from the higher perspective. And in the ninth house, we are really being tasked with letting go of the old beliefs, right? That's the biggest thing for you. And, yes, that does make sense, doesn't it, Asa? Okay, if you have any other questions, let me know. Belief system indeed. The ninth house is also educational. So we change our beliefs through education from rising to the higher level, seeing things from that bigger perspective. And if you want to use other words, you could say that Uranus is giving us the more progressive approach to life, while Taurus gives us the more conservative approach to life. So, in a way, no matter what house it's in, you're dealing with two opposite ends of the spectrum, which kind of bring us into I would bet a better word would be what's more sustainable, right? Because over conservation is not sustainable and over progression is not sustainable, right? We have to come to a sustainability factor. So, in adopting a new view of the world or of the way that your life has gone, try to stay in that middle ground, not stuck in either conservative, too small of a view, or too progressive, too wide of a view. We have to have the lens that's just right for sustainable growth, right? Sustainable evolution. Because literally, the ninth house is about a consciousness evolution, right? Through growing. But as we see in cancer, growing too fast is not a good thing, right? It's an overabundance of cells dividing that are, creating havoc in the body, and we don't want that either in our lives. So, trying to bring it in, keep it, somewhat in a balance. We want to move ahead, but then you also want to pause a little bit there. And, maybe you have to look backwards a little bit. Uranus is retrograde and see, well, what in the past might I need to switch, change, think about differently and move that forward, right? Back and forth, back and forth. Okay. Let's go to another big news event for the weekend, and that is on the same day that Uranus is turning retrograde, Pluto in retrograde is moving back into Capricorn for an 11-week stay for the very last time in our lifetimes, right? 240 years hence. I think the year is 2202, the next time that Uranus will come into the sign of Capricorn. And, from now on, for the next 20 years, we'll be in Pluto in Aquarius. So I wanted to take a look back at the things that have been changed or that, Pluto has dumped over on its head during this period of time. Because when a planet goes retrograde, right, it's a more of an internal view. When Pluto goes retrograde, we are revisiting and concluding the themes and the lessons that we've had as an experience during the Pluto, in this case, Capricorn time. And Pluto in Capricorn has been working on us for more than a decade, right? It was 2008 when Pluto first moved into Capricorn. And so we've had a long time of energy related to the sort of upside down of our authority and power systems, the structures that we have in place. Capricorn rules government. It rules all the structures of government. So all of the institutions that support the government and the power structures that are inherent in all of that stuff, right? And now what we find ourselves at is this final examination of authority. Saturn in Capricorn, or Saturn's rulership of Capricorn, is about authority and power. So, a final examination of authority and power structures. So, Pluto in Capricorn over time, sometimes we saw it in big ways, other times he went a little silent, and then another big wave of things happen, has been about deconstructing and transforming forming power structures, hierarchies, governments, large institutions, right? And as Pluto retrogrades back into Capricorn now, there's a final opportunity for us, and this is more collectively than personal, but also will impact you personally, a final opportunity to review and address issues around power, control, and authority. And it can also bring to surface any of the unresolved matters related to those themes. And that might urge us toward a final transformation or conclusion of those Capricornian themes. So we might also be revisiting structural changes. So over the past years, Pluto and Capricorn pushed for deep changes in how we build and how we sustain structures. So be they societal structures, governmental structures, or personal structures, right? Like if you wanted to build it, it had to be something more forward thinking. It had to be something more sustainable for a future, and not something that would be breakable, essentially. So during this retrograde now, these changes might be revisited. And that allows for a final tweaking or refinement, or maybe even just a profound understanding of the implications of those things that have gone past. And it's time to ensure that the new foundations, right, that the things as we move forward are solid and are sustainable. Okay, so we're really taking a look at what stands the test of time. Pluto in Capricorn ruled the time of the past. Pluto moving in 11 weeks into Aquarius rules the time of the future, right? So we're kind of sitting with, have you ever seen the picture of the two-headed god, right? The god's name is Janus, actually, where January gets its name, and it's the look back and the look forward, right? So we're kind of caught in this time where we are also needing to look backward, but look forward, right? We're moving forward. So we can't move backwards, but we can take what we've learned from our experiences in the past, adopt a new way of believing, thinking, transforming, enduring, and move forward with that. Which means that we're also under a reassessment of our long term goals and our ambitions. If you think of that on the level of a nation, well, first, let's think of that on the level of Earth. What does that mean for us, right? Assessing what are the long term goals for our survival on this planet? How can we create something sustainable, whether it's agriculture or finances or business, or is it how we, manage resources, that kind of thing. It could be on the national level, right? A country adopting a new long term goal and ambition, a new vision of what the future could bring. And on a personal level, this is also occurring wherever you have Capricorn in your chart has been undergoing a long term, i.e., more than 10 years of change, of transformation. So, assessing what are my long term goals? What's my ambition? reflecting on the transformations that have occurred for you personally during this last 12 years or so, and the structures that support your goals. Are they in place? Are they still relevant? Have you put into play things that are no longer relevant? So it's a time for us to reassess and redefine our paths forward. Again, on all levels, right? Societally, governmentally, institutionally, and personally. And then, and this is the tough part because this is always, I think we live on a planet that has a lot of control structures in place. And here we have to confront the residual control issues. It brings an inward focus, for sure, on power dynamics and control, right? Power struggles, control struggles. And as it moves back into Capricorn, any of the lingering issues around control, whether it be in our personal relationships, our professional settings, or within ourselves, right? Within our own selves, are likely to surface again. And this is an opportunity to address them and to like head on and to release any unhealthy attachments that we each have to power or control. Being controlled or being the controller, or an unhealthy attachment to power, right? That's a big deal. And we might also embrace like some kind of economic or structural shifts, and those are on the bigger planes that we don't always individually have a whole lot to say about. But on the broader scale, Pluto's transit through Capricorn really coincided with some significant economic downturns, economic shifts, and reevaluation of our society's structures. And this retrograde could bring back issues related to the economy, governance, societal frameworks that need to be reworked or rethought of before Pluto final makes that final move in November into Aquarius, which signals a new era. We don't look back, right? We can't go backwards as bad as we want to, as many people will want us to try to go back to a past. We can't. We have to look forward. So, review and refine any of the structures in your life, right? What are the things that in your career or your personal life, or even your involvement in broader societal things that groups that you're associated with, that type of thing. So use the time to assess those structures and what needs to change. Are they still serving you, right? Or have they outlived their usefulness? What adjustments are necessary? Address power dynamics that you have between you and anyone else in your life. So reflect on those relationships that have those power and control issues. Where have you grown, and where might there still be work to do when it comes right down to it? Where do you still need to do some maturing, some evolving consciously? And, it's a time that brings us possible deep psychological insight and healing, right? Pluto isn't all just destroy. His destroy is all about rebuilding and, becoming healed. And it's a time to plan for the future, which seems funny, but it's true here. But this is a perspective that comes from within you, not outside making the changes. So as Pluto is preparing to leave Capricorn, consider how the transformations of these past years have shaped your long-term goals, right? How has the economy, the stock market, just the very changes in the world, how has that affected what you want to do in the long term? And are there new paths that you need to explore in order to be, fully prepared for that future? And of course, economic and institutional awareness, right? Be aware, stay informed of the broader economic and structural changes that are going on wherever it is that you live, right? One of the big technology things that I see right now that's being reworked and likely is one of the things that will come out of this last Pluto retrograde into Capricorn are, how do we control AI, right? I know Britain is putting in there's a new law going into place that really is designed to limit artificial intelligence in some ways, And I even heard a rumor that there's possibly more constraints that they're going to put on that. We'll have to wait and see, but that is a big issue as we go forward into Aquarius, that maybe the structures need to be built now for us to be able to handle AI in the future. So this is not just a routine Pluto transit. This is literally the last hurrah, the final chapter of a long journey of Pluto moving through Capricorn. He moves slowly, and his influence is deep and far reaching. And when it finally leaves Capricorn for good, it's going to signify the end of an era and the beginning of a new one, focused more on the collective issues of the day, on technology, on humanitarian values, and all things Aquarius, right? So we move away from the institutions and things like that. So it's a powerful time for revisiting those old things, right? The concluding the themes that are related to power and authority. Um, and again, this doesn't happen all in one day. Just because on November, Pluto changes out of Capricorn for good and into Aquarius doesn't mean that we enter a new age easily or effortlessly, right? When he entered Capricorn, it wasn't easy, right? With the first act was economic downturn, right? Uh, it was pretty difficult times, right? So not that I'm saying that the next, year will be very difficult, but we've already kind of had our little toe tap into Aquarius with Pluto, so we already have seen some of the themes that are popping up for that. Questions. It's the final countdown. Oh my god. We should if too bad I don't have the, ability to play that song without getting a copyright strike. Um, anyway, and isn't that a movie too, The Final Countdown, something like that? So it is. It's a final countdown to a big change, an era change, right? One that has a lot of implications for our future. All right, now I have just a few minutes. I actually have to be out of here right on time today. Virgo new moon. We talked about that on Wednesday, so I'm not going to go ad nauseum into that. But we didn't get to talk about what gate in human design that the Virgo new moon will be at. And it's at a very interesting gate. Now, we know Virgo is a sign of practicality, of grounded energy, of healing energy, of detoxifying, of slimming down, of perfecting, of improving. That's, Virgo energy. And it doesn't sound very sexy, but it's needed, right? It's a necessary time of the year for us to reevaluate how it is that we've, been living our lives. Is it in aligned with health, or is it, out of alignment? Now, understanding the gate 40 in human design is a whole nother story, because it's called the gate of restoration. That's in quantum human design. And I can't even remember now what it was called in traditional human design. I want to say it was the gate of community, maybe. Not sure, but definitely restoration. And it's on the ego center, so, or will center, or heart center, the little tiny triangle off to the right of if you're looking at your chart, to the right of the identity center. It's the smallest little center. It has the fewest number of gates, perhaps, but it's really truly impactful. And it's impactful because it's about resources. It is about how we manage and allocate our resources, time, energy, money. And here, what we have is a theme in the new moon that's really about managing our resources of energy, right? Our time. And how do we, um, a lot of times with that will center or heart center, we're pushing, right? We're forcing, and pushing and forcing is, not sustainable. So this gate reminds us that restoration is leading us to rejuvenation, right? To revitalization. So the new moon here at the gate 40 is encouraging us to restore ourselves, right? To slow down. So after periods of hard work or intense effort, it's crucial to slow down. Hello, Binksy, and to honor your body's need for rest, for relaxation, ensuring that you don't burn out, because that's the center that can burn out very quickly. It's about balancing then our work and rest. It's about focusing on service. Virgo is a sign of service to humanity, using your gifts and your talents as a way to serve the community. So the gate 40 is about providing for the community that you're a part of, often driven by a sense of duty or responsibility. But the new moon might highlight where you're giving too much or where you have gone overboard in sharing of your gifts and your talents, and then might also be showing you where you need to pull back somewhat to rest, right? And focus on your own health, your own nurturing, right? Your own well being. This has a very holistic energy kind of feel to it. And it's a good time then to reassess how you contribute to others and ensure that you're doing it in a balanced way, not over, right? Virgo is a critical thinking sign. It's very analytical. It also is about boundaries. The opposite sign is Pisces. So Virgo brings boundaries to the boundaryless, right? That's Virgo, right? So reining things in somewhat. So combined with the energy of the gate 8 or gate 40, excuse me, it can help us set the necessary boundaries that we need. That involves maybe saying no to some people, to some things, right? And then recognizing when you need to step back from obligations rather than, creating more, right? So sometimes the obligations are depleting your energy. So reassessing what you've said yes to, practical health, well being, all of that a part of this new moon. And find Virgo in your chart because that's the house where you may have been like overcommitted or in a situation of, um, you know, overly obligated, right? It'll be the one right next to Leo. Okay, so card for this weekend. This is the new deck called Intuitive Whispers Oracle, and it's by Maud Hurst. I know nothing about her. I haven't even researched her yet, but if she's a Hay House author, she's probably pretty good, right? So let's see. We get the card. This is very Virgo. Move your body to move your emotion. Move your body, card number 19, which engenders an ending and a new beginning. Move your body to move your emotion. So 19, let's see what this means for us. Get up and move. So much of life has become sedentary, and it's time to mix things up and get moving in ways that feel nourishing for you. Movement is good for both our physical and mental health. Your emotions will shift when you move your physical body. So if you are feeling stuck in any area of your life right now, get up and wiggle those hips, the emotional center of your body. What is your go to movement of choice? For some, it's intense exercise like going to the gym or running. For others, it's dancing, yoga, or going for a walk in nature. There is no right or wrong way to move, but this is your nudge to rediscover what movement feels nourishing for your soul. Get playful and reconnect to your inner child so that you delight in movement without any judgment. Now it says how to move your body. Number one, play your favorite music and stand so you feel steady on your feet. Close your eyes and deepen your breath. With childlike curiosity, invite your body to move in a way that feels playful and silly. Notice how your emotions shift as you begin to move and let go. And step out of your comfort zone and maybe book yourself a class that inspires a new way of moving. So, move your body to move your emotion. All right. That's from this deck. And now I'm going to go into the new Kyle Gray deck, Angelic Activations Oracle. And honestly, I didn't even, well, I did pull myself a card. That's right. I pulled this one for myself, which was Metatron. Not quite sure what all that means yet, but let's do one for all of us, shall we? And see what angelic activation is up for us. Oh, this one is Mary, Queen of Angels. And on the back of the card, so we have the front of the card, which is this really beautiful depiction of Mary, Queen of Angels. And then on the back is a message. And then we also have the guidebook that has a deeper message. So let's start here. It says, Mary, Queen of Angels, do not be afraid. You were born for this. Trust in your voice. Trust in your ability to articulate your thoughts. Trust in your capacity to use and share your gifts. If you are feeling scared or unsure about the next step, this is just showing how much you care about making a difference. Stand in the light of your soul. It is the only shield you need. And the activation is I trust in myself, my voice, and my gifts. I am unafraid. All right, let's see what else Kyle has to say about that card. What's the name of it? Mary, Queen of. There she is. Mary, the mother of Jesus, was a simple woman who carried out an incredible mission to bring sacred love into the world. At the time of her passing, she was assumed into heaven by a choir of angels. It is for this reason that she is considered Queen of the Angels, and her presence magnetizes the presence of angels and the energy of miracles. Like the angels, Mary can be with many people all at once. She isn't limited by linear time and space. She has enough love to go around. She also heads up a group of angels dedicated to world peace, and alongside Archangel Gabriel, is particularly focused on the wellness of mothers and children. She is here to help those who have been silenced to be finally heard. Extra guidance. If you have the privilege of deciding if you are going to take an opportunity, it's essential for you to do so. There's a good chance your growth has been restricted by earthly commitments and you've grown used to roadblocks, stopping you from progressing. Don't create these blockages for yourself. Don't allow your internal egoic dialogue to prevent you from stepping into your fullest potential. Let the world know who you are and why you are here. And remember, the activation is I trust in myself, my voice, and my gifts. I am unafraid. Woohoo. All right, guys, that is it for me today. Thank you so much for being here. I gotta go. Bye.